Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you about Mojave Rail Fabrication, which is a Las Vegas-based company that has come up with a new roof rack for vehicles. I'm the founder and inventor behind the Mojave Rail roof rack, which I invented to address the problem of struggling with conventional roof rack solutions, which require you to reach and stretch and get on stools, only to not really have the confidence that you'd like that the load was secured adequately, especially if you're of moderate stature or you have physical limitations, whatever the case may be. So what that does is forces people to employ some workarounds, which are often dangerous, risky. Sticking their head out their sunroof, which I've done many times, standing on your door sill, standing on top of your tire, but all those are less than ideal. As a mechanical engineer, I thought, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I invented the Mojave Rail solution. What happens when folks don't secure their load adequately is things shoot off. And I have a couple of videos here. I don't know if it'll work on the Zoom, but I don't think that'll work on the Zoom. But anyway, I have two videos that show, one is a bunch of plywood flying off the roof on a highway on a dash cam, and the other is a big cargo bag falling off of an SUV on an 18-wheeler dash cam. And that's extremely dangerous. It can create liability. Can obviously create injury, especially if you're someone like me who rides a motorcycle and something falls off on the road, you're pretty much done. So that's a real problem. So I came up with a design that addresses that, and I'll just give you an illustration of how it works. Here we have an SUV. This is a CAD rendering, tall SUV with my rack mounted on the roof. And what this does is just extends laterally, telescoping like that. It's only two moving parts on this, but it allows you to reach and access the entire load area very comfortably, and you can see your load, make sure it's secured properly, and you just slide it back up. There's no hoisting, no lifting. It's very straightforward. Can you guys see me on that camera? I don't know if you can see me, but I brought a prototype that's a proof of concept.
You can walk right up there if you want, right next to the camera.
I don't have a monitor, so I can't see what you're seeing, but this is essentially a scale prototype, very rudimentary prototype that I had manufactured using CNC out of aluminum. But the rack is arced and it extends laterally so you can load it. This is just one rail, of course. There would be two, but that's essentially how it works. And it's the actual current design, the refined design that we have now is quite robust and much more elegant than that. That's very basic. So the advantages of this design are that there's no jerking, there's no lifting. It literally glides down, and then you can load your gear, your cargo. You can use it for anything you would use a normal roof rack for. And then you just literally slide it back up and lock it into place. Get in the car and drive. And that expands the ability for people to get out and do the things that they love tremendously. Because a lot of people have roof racks, but they go unused. They just go unused because they're just a pain in the neck to use. But I think this will revolutionize the way people use and are able to enjoy roof racks. This is just an isolated CAD rendering without mounted on the vehicle. So far, I filed a provisional patent and a non-provisional utility patent application. I've completed and have all the CAD files ready for manufacturing on my refined design, very aerodynamic, low profile. I secured a domestic manufacturing partner in Ohio. The way this is manufactured is something called extrusion, which is a fairly, there's a lot of initial cost. The startup cost for extrusion is relatively, it's like $25,000. But beyond that, it's very cheap once you get the tooling set up. And it's not something that you can just access anywhere. You can't get, there's only a few facilities that do this. There's one in Utah, one in California. And most recently, we're anticipating being awarded a $100K grant from UNLV. This is a tremendous opportunity for us. We're so excited about this. This is a special grant that is 1 year in duration, starts in August 1st of this year to 2021. And I'll be working as an industry liaison with a team of senior mechanical engineering students at UNLV Engineering School and have full access to their complete lab, all the engineering lab, which has everything. And we're going to be designing, doing the prototyping, completing the prototyping, and getting ready to launch commercially. And that's actually the purpose of the grant. I was invited to apply for this grant, and it's supposed to be announced any day. What we're also going to do as a part of this grant is we're going to document the whole thing and do a documentary. We're going to videotape the entire process with the students, and of course there'll be the applicant for the grant is actually the principal investigator, who is the department head of the mechanical engineering department, Dr. Brendan O'Toole, and he'll be supervising and directing the whole thing as well. So it's really exciting for us to have that opportunity. We hope to get it, and we anticipate getting it. We have very good feedback so far. But we'll be documenting the whole thing, and we'll be issuing episodes showing the progress of the student design team over the course of the year on social media, on YouTube and Facebook, and it's called the Rebel Rack. And we're going to document the whole thing and then leverage that into our crowdfunding campaign. So today's ask is I'm looking for $250,000, and combined with the $100K that I hope to get, this is how I'm going to use those funds between now and the end of the grant period. Commercial rent, prototyping, these are fairly speculative. Prototyping, I think, about $50K in machine time, manufacturing, assembly, finish work, IP and legal work. We're going to continue to prosecute the portfolio around this innovation. And then the crowdsourcing, the crowdfunding campaign, I'm going to hire an agency to do a professional crowdfunding campaign, again, leveraging all the work product of the grant, which will allow us to hopefully get a very robust and healthy pre-order campaign. After we hit our pre-order goal on the crowdfunding campaign, we're going to do a PR campaign as the next phase. And here's kind of how I sketched out the return timeline, assuming a $200 margin on each rack set. So launching the social media campaign corresponding with the beginning of the grant date. There's the biggest outdoor retail trade show is called Outdoor Retail Trade Show. It's in Denver, and it's going to be in January. We're going to go to that, get a booth, have static displays, have prototypes, have videos, and hopefully secure some pre-orders there. Launch our crowdfunding campaign in February. Hit our goal, hopefully, do our PR campaign. And then we're going to do a commercial launch event at the end of the grant period, which is part of the grant, actually. And we hope to do that at the Blackfire Innovation Facility. We're going to do, for sales channels, we'd like to try to do direct internet sale and wholesale to retailers, the various outdoor recreational retailers. And I don't know which is going to be preferable, if I'll settle on one, but right now I just have both of those avenues as something that I want to pursue. But the really exciting piece too is this is all, what I've been explaining and demonstrating to you so far is all recreational, but there's a whole nother market, which is commercial, for roof racks. And we want to capture that, we want to be a part of that. And then of course there's vehicle OEM. So a lot of vehicles come from the factory with roof racks. That's another avenue we want to pursue. And then government contracting as well. So this goes out to 2024. The crowdfunding plan, as I mentioned, really is going to take advantage of all of the work product from the grant. And we hope to have a really robust set of videos and demonstrations and a story and a community of folks who have followed us throughout the development project, roll that into our crowdfunding campaign. As I mentioned, sales channels, I don't know which one will be better. I'm not prepared, or I don't feel like I'm able to decide on one. So I'm going to try to do both. But this outdoor retailer event in Denver in January will be a really good test for us to see what type of feedback we get and what people think of the rack. So this is what the size of the market looks like right here in the United States. But the exciting part about it is the compound annual growth rate and looking to approach $1 billion by 2025, because outdoor recreation is really expanding. You know, and the thing is, with vehicles commonly used for outdoor recreation being SUVs, which are tall, you really have the perfect combination of difficulty reaching the rack, but people are really interested in getting out there. So we're excited about being able to offer a solution that lets more people do that. This is a picture of the recreational market that just kind of paints a picture of what it might look like. We'd like to capture about 25% of the market. There's about 1.5 million rail sets sold aftermarket per year in the United States. We'd like to capture about 25% of that within 5 years. So here's the current players who are active in the space. Thule is a Swedish company, and Magna is an American company that Thule sells to consumers direct. Magna is an American company that sells to automotive OEMs primarily. Yakima is an American company that sells to consumers direct. Mint is I believe a Chinese company. They sell to OEMs. ARB historically was an Australian company, but I believe they're now based in North Carolina. But these companies are all international anyway. The big players really, from my perspective, as competitors are Thule and Yakima. So the commercial market, as I mentioned before, is what we're really excited about as well. That's a big market. You know, this is kind of what we're looking at with the commercial applications. It's similar types of issues. That's a fixed rack, and it's spaced off the vehicle so the sliding door can move, but better would be to have the rack come down and then go back up. Government contracting, very exciting opportunity. This is a veteran-owned business. I'm going to get a veteran-owned certification to enjoy some favored contracting treatment, but there are many, many government agencies that use roof racks. So this is kind of what the Yakima and Thule offerings are. I was really, really surprised. I went online and spec'd out the top model rack for a 2019 Escalade from both Yakima and Thule. They came out within 5 cents of each other, which is interesting on the two offerings. So you can see how concentrated and static this market is. They don't offer much difference in terms of functionality nor in price. It's really just what you prefer, but neither one of those have any extensibility. They don't extend, so you're stuck with trying to reach your roof. If you have that Escalade, it's going to be tough. Cost to produce, I estimate to be about $350 just for the rail set. You could go lower if you did Chinese extrusion. So I'm thinking of a price point around $650. It might go higher than that because of the functionality, but that would put us just right in with the other two big players in the recreational market. And then of course there's more that goes with it. The $620 for the Thule or for the rack of Yakima is just for the towers and the rails. You still have to buy the adapter for whatever your equipment is. So if you have like a bike or a road bike or a mountain bike or skis or snowboards, whatever the case may be, you have to buy separately that equipment that mounts on top of the rail set, and then that holds your equipment. And that would be the same with us. We would have the same model. But there's nothing in the space that does this. The only thing that's remotely close is this Yakima Showdown. Now, the Yakima Showdown, it's interesting. If you look at the picture there on top of that car, it's a set of pieces that mount on top of the rail set. So it's two separate things. You have to buy the rail set, which are flat and don't move, and then buy, for another $450, buy the Showdown, which is very clunky. You have to actually lift it up and then push, lift and push, lift and push. Whereas ours just glides down. It only has 2 moving parts. It's much more lower profile, much more aerodynamic, which translates to lower wind noise. It doesn't touch the vehicle in any way. By the way, the Yakima Showdown is only adapted for use with kayaks and paddleboards. So it's very specific. That's the closest thing I could find. But with that, you're gonna have a lot of wind noise, and there's a lot of moving parts. There's hinges, there's a lot that can break or jam up. So our goal, in the future is to expand into other areas after the rack. But we want to do a halo model, the Rebel Rack Carbon, an ultralight and modern carbon fiber offering. That's big in the automotive aftermarket. People are willing to pay an enormous premium for carbon fiber. This type of design really lends itself to having a carbon fiber version. So we'd like to do that going forward. But other related products, RV products, car toppers, running boards are things that we could explore as well in the future once we're established in the recreational rack space. Our target recreational customer, as I mentioned before, is anyone who just wants to have an easier time using a roof rack. And that could be for any reason. Either their car is tall, they have mobility limitations, they might be suffering an injury, they might have a rotator cuff issue, they might be a smaller stature, or they have more advanced age, and their car is big, but they want to use it. So that's our market. But I think really I would get this for myself, and I don't have mobility limitations, but I would love to have this. Because it extends down adjacent to the vehicle, you could even use this in a parking spot. I came up with this customer persona to kind of demonstrate who our target customer is. So Stephanie is an office manager at an HOA. She has 3 kids. She's divorced. She's 46. She makes $105,000 per year. She lives down here. Her personality, she's independent, self-sufficient, direct, and high anxiety. Her goals in life are really wellness, companionship with people with similar interests. The last of her children is about to leave for college, and she wants to be able to get out there on her mountain bike, but she drives an Escalade, and it's just not going to work. So these are some of her quotes. I'd love to go mountain biking on Mount Charleston, but I don't want to throw my bike in the back of my premium vehicle, gets it all muddy, and I can't reach the roof. And so I would tell her, imagine mounting your bike on a rack sitting on your kitchen table. You don't have to lift it up. You can see you can confirm that you installed it correctly before you leave, and it complements your vehicle, your premium vehicle. And this is me, and I am the sole principal of Mojave Rail. I currently have a full-time job, but I need help. I need to get some help, co-founders, and I'm looking for that. And this is where we are right now. Thank you very much. That's my contact information from Mojave Rail, and happy to answer your questions.